Aloha, my name is Danny Ronan, student at the University of California, Santa Barbara and a retail specialist, and welcome back to yet another video. Today we'll be taking a different route and exploring not retail case studies with retail establishments throughout the years, but we're going to be focusing on more logistical issues. Some of you have raised a concern about what the different chapters of bankruptcy mean. More specifically, what is Chapter 7 bankruptcy? What is Chapter 11 bankruptcy? What does it mean when a company files for Chapter 11 and then sort of progress into Chapter 7 bankruptcy? Well, today we're going to be discussing these logistical issues and also some general information about what these bankruptcy filing means. Please note, of course, that this video is not a guide of filing for bankruptcy, but more forth, it is just covering the general logistics of what these types of bankruptcies are, the differences between what is a company, what bankruptcy filing does a company file for, what bankruptcy filing an individual goes for. So this is just a review and differences between the different types of chapters. Introduction. So to help explain the difference between various chapters of bankruptcy that exist under United States bankruptcy laws, I've created a slideshow, which is here, to demonstrate relevant chapters that apply to corporations and individuals and their differences. The slideshow will mainly go over Chapter 7 and 11, which is the most frequent of retail companies, but we'll recognize Chapter 13 alongside other special cases. This video should help answer questions that relate to my previous videos of how the bankruptcy of Kmart Corporation, which was filed in January of 2002, differs from the bankruptcy of Ames Corporation from 2001 to 2002. And at the end of the video, we'll give more of a detailed explanation of how these two corporations' bankruptcy filings are different. Please note, of course, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, the slideshow does not go over how to file for bankruptcy. It simply displays the differences between different chapters of bankruptcy under United States bankruptcy laws. So, what is bankruptcy and who files for it? Bankruptcy, in simple terms, is a legal proceeding that is available to individuals, businesses, and related entities during the case of financial or business failures. As mentioned in the last bullet point, bankruptcy filings are available to individuals and businesses alike. So what's the difference between the two? Well, most businesses file for Chapter 7 or Chapter 11 bankruptcy. With individuals, they either file for Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy being the most common, with Chapter 7 bankruptcy some of the times. Why are there different numbers in chapters? Why are there chapters in the first place? And what are their meanings? In the following slides, we will go over different chapters and their meanings. So the first main one that we'll be going over is Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, Chapter 7 bankruptcy is commonly filed by both businesses and individuals. For individuals, the process involves the court selling all of your assets, except those that are exempt, for cash, and pay off creditors for the amount that they are owed. For businesses, this chapter of bankruptcy is the most rigorous one. It is the most drastic measure that businesses can take during a time of business failure. Most commonly, businesses prefer to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. If you look at a graph anywhere on the internet from a reputable source, most businesses first commonly file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which we'll be covering in this video for today, so I won't get into more detail about it in this slide. However, there are some rare instances that a business that is filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy goes to Chapter 7 bankruptcy in order to liquidate all of their assets, which is one of the slides over here. On Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the company liquidates their assets by selling them with the proceeds paying off creditors. Priority of payment towards these proceeds are towards secured creditors, bankruptcy costs, and wages of workers. Few companies over the decades have originally filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcies. Many have converted from Chapter 11 to Chapter 7 bankruptcy. This includes retailers such as Ames Department Stores, which has officially filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2002, Circuit City in 2009, and Toys R Us in 2018. Now, all of these companies have originally filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy to reorganize and protect their assets, however, have failed to do so by either not being bought out by another company in order to continue their operations, or do not have any more money as well. Chapter 11 Bankruptcy. Now, Chapter 11 bankruptcy is commonly filed by businesses, however, it can be filed by individuals in some instances. This chapter is popular for businesses as it allows a reorganization plan to be made while the company continues to operate. A petition to file alongside other processes such as the duration, location of the bankruptcy, which could be in Delaware, and others are required in order to complete a reorganization plan to emerge from bankruptcy. Depending on the size of the company, success rates grow based on the revenue of the company. The higher the revenue, the higher the probability it will emerge from bankruptcy. Let's say, for example, we have two instances of two retailers. One could be Kmart Corporation and one could be Mel Disco Footwear. Now, Mel Disco Footwear is a subsidiary of Kmart Corporation, or was, until they liquidated all of their stores within Kmart Corporation stores within the late 2000s. Kmart Corporation, when they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, had a higher success rate if Mel Disco Footwear were to file for bankruptcy under Chapter 11, because with higher assets, a higher reputation, and more cash and more assets to go under, they would have a better success rate. Projections alongside extended analyzation are required for the company to emerge profitable while paying as much debt back to the creditors as possible. Now, of course, the difference between debtors and creditors, obviously, is that the debtors are the ones that are receiving cash from the creditors, because the creditors in their books, they credit cash, so that means they are losing assets, they're giving cash to someone else, which would be the debtors. So the debtors, which is the company that we're talking about under Chapter 11 bankruptcy, are required to pay it back. Many changes will be implemented: store closures, change in executive staff, layoffs, et al., to make the entity profitable, to cut costs as well. Many companies such as Kmart Corporation in 2002, Sears Holdings Corporation in 2018, and Bed Bath & Beyond in 2023 have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, this video I wanted to bring into light is another reason, which is Bed Bath & Beyond. Because it is possible to obtain approval of liquidation under Chapter 11 bankruptcy, although you want to have basically coverage from restructuring your assets, it is entirely possible to still liquidate, which is the instance of Bed Bath & Beyond and their subsidiary of Bye Bye Baby. Now, Bed Bath & Beyond, as you may have known, are approaching their final days of liquidation, with many of them shuttering their doors across the United States of America. And they are trying to sell off Bye Bye Baby, which they have under intellectual property from a firm that is based in New Jersey, so that they can receive as much cash as they can, of course, to pay off bankruptcy costs, bonuses to their employees if possible, and others as well. So just a little note so that you might not get confused between the two. Chapter 13 Bankruptcy. Now, very short and brief, Chapter 13 bankruptcy is filed by individuals. As opposed to liquidating all assets by the court and paying back creditors immediately, this chapter allows individuals to repay all or parts of their debt over a period of 3 to 5 years. Many individuals file for this chapter as it saves their homes from foreclosure and gives them the opportunity to plan to pay back creditors while continuing to earn their wage. Think of Chapter 11 bankruptcy for individuals. Special cases of bankruptcy. Now, related to the topic of bankruptcy, but unrelated to the chapters mentioned, there are other chapters under United States bankruptcy law. Chapters 1, 3, and 5, which are the first 3 chapters of bankruptcy law, provides a general baseline and operations under bankruptcy law. Creditors, debtors, estates, and administrative issues are covered here. Chapter 9 bankruptcy is a very interesting type of bankruptcy, which we obviously won't go over in this video, but is very interesting to mention because it allows organizations or such as cities, towns, school districts, and other types to file for reorganization. Now, Chapter 9 isn't so common, but it is, sometimes in the news and people would get lost. Well, while we're mentioning in this video, right? Most recently, the San Benito Healthcare District has filed for Chapter 9 bankruptcy as of May 2023, citing labor costs and shortage and working capital. Chapter 15 bankruptcy is one of the newer chapters that allows for international bankruptcy proceedings, most notable for international trade and investments. In short, it provides cooperation between domestic and foreign courts for bankruptcy when a foreign debtor files for bankruptcy in the United States. Conclusion. So, what is there to take away? A lot may sound this slide, but we're going to make it very simple. The United States has created multiple chapters under the United States bankruptcy law to provide relief to specific audiences if needed. Chapter 7, 11, 13 are the most filed for individuals and businesses alike. Chapter 7 and Chapter 11 for businesses. Chapter 7 and 13 for individuals. Think of it as liquidation versus reorganization for businesses. When you file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, most likely that business is liquidating all of their assets in order to be bought by someone else, such as Bed Bath & Beyond when we filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Overstock.com bought their intellectual rights and renamed the company Overstock.com to Bed Bath & Beyond. While reorganization is a larger company that is in business trouble and needs to reorganize in order to emerge bigger, brighter. That's what Kmart said. It ultimately didn't do that, but that's what the business model is going for. In special cases, if the state of the company further deteriorates under reorganization, a company can opt to convert from Chapter 11 to Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Ames, Circuit City, etc. Other chapters such as 1, 3, 5, 9, and 15 are also important to know when understanding the processes of other institutions. Now, special note. The book Mergers, Acquisitions, and Corporate Restructurings by Patrick Goggin and other affiliated websites such as the U.S. courts provide more detailed information on the proceeds of bankruptcy. Now, this was a really large source of this video because Mergers, Acquisitions, and Corporate Restructurings is a wonderful book that I picked up a year ago. And I've read a majority of it because it's very interesting to understand how bankruptcy filings are, how mergers are processed within the corporate world, including corporate restructurings. And the U.S. courts provide more information about the different types of bankruptcies and how to file for them ultimately. When watching videos regarding bankruptcy filings for companies or when reading articles, you can now immediately tell the difference between various chapters. And that brings to this last slide. So thank you guys for watching the video. Also, as a final note, now you can tell the difference between Ames and Kmart. Kmart filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy but never converted to Chapter 7 for liquidation, and Ames filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and then they ultimately converted to Chapter 7 to ultimately liquidate all their assets with no comeback to be foreseen in the near future. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. Have a great rest of your day, and see you next time.